So today I'm going to talk about UX and what impacts UX. But I'll tell you a bit more of what I'm currently doing. I'm currently a UI UX designer at LevelZ, where my main role is to design experiences for products, and also I'm a UI UX design instructor at institute called GoMyCode, where I teach UX design for people who are interested in UX design, and also um, people who are creating products, digital products. I think just like you. So if you're interested, check it out. Let me talk about a bit of the agenda, what I'm going to talk about in this presentation. So I'm going to talk about what is user experience, what is UX design, and what is UI design, and the cost of UX design. Let me begin with these companies. So, of course, everyone knows these companies. Um, they're huge. I'm sure you are using one at least every single day, or even two, more than one once in your day throughout the day. But each one are a completely different service. So, what is the common between these companies other than they are billion, or they are billion worth billions of dollars? They are delivering exceptional user experience, but not because they are $1 billion company. They have the money to spend on UX design or user experience, but it's actually completely opposite. They are worth billion dollars because of their user experience that they are delivering to their user. Even I attended Hamad Al-Qassab presentation, I think 2 weeks last, in the last 2 weeks, and he was always emphasizing on user experience. We want to create the experience. So why they want to create these experiences? So when you're creating a product, you are entering a market that already we have a lot of products in the market itself. So how you're going to grab attention of the user? So let's talk about the attention span of the user. In 2000, the average attention span is actually 12 seconds. In 2015, they did the research again, and it was 8 seconds. Just to put things in perspective, the goldfish attention span is actually 9 seconds. Imagine now in 2021, with everyone sitting at home and using their phone, how much less is now. So you're fighting for attention, for the attention of the users who have less attention span than goldfish. So you need to create experience that not only to grab attention of the user, but also to retain it, not to just for a new product to come in, other than new product, and they would like run off for the new product, but actually to retain it. UX is actually a matter of survival. I didn't create this line, although I really believe in it. It's actually an article in Forbes magazine where it says it was talking about UX and business, and one of the people they are interviewed, they said user experience uh, is the main reason that the businesses are surviving online, especially. So if you want to survive, or your product you want to survive in the market, you need to have a good UX design. So let's talk about a bit of UX. UX, it's short of user experience. And what is user experience? User experience is everything that the user feels, says, thinks, do while and result of using the product. It's actually user experience is about all the like any kind of product. So Zoom is a product, and right now you're having an experience. Also, the chair that you're sitting, or even the table or the laptop that you're using, it has an experience, whether it's good or bad. So if it's bad, it's still an experience. Also, the user experience doesn't really start when, like, let's say for an online or a digital product, it doesn't really start when the product you're using the product is actually way much before, and even after they close the product, you stop using the product, the experience stays with them after. So this is user experience. But what is user experience design? So when people see design, they always think of the visual aspect of the product, but it's not the visual aspect. It's part of it, but it's not the full thing. Design is actually a process of understanding the wants and needs of the user. So UX design stands for understanding the UI, the understanding uh, the wants and needs of the user and delivering it to them. So this is UX design. So let me give you an example of an experience, a good user experience. So we have Ahmed, who is just a bit of background. He's an employee. He's in his lunch break. He's uh, thinking of, okay, I need to take my vacation and I want to travel. Because of the pandemic, he need to check which countries that he can go. So he would pull up his phone and go to Google and search which countries that I'm allowed to go to now, and they would find the result. I'm sure it says Turkey in the top. Anyway, and then he would close the phone and he would plan to his trip to his Turkey. But even though like his experience of Google is like 1 minute, it's actually a great user experience. So let's start actually from the beginning. So when Ahmed thought of the need of like the question of he want to travel, he created a need, and then he had expectation when he opens the phone. So both of this need and expectation, it created a goal. So when he opens the Google, he need to have a goal to reach. So he would open the Google, and even though if his the first time he uses Google ever, he will still know where he would search. So he would write what countries that I'm going to travel to during the pandemic. So instead of actually writing the whole sentence, Google would suggest, do you mean countries that I can travel through the pandemic? And when also he clicks search, he would not even go. He would not even need to enter the links. The answer will be on top. So when he finishes, he closes the Google. He will still have the experience of good experience of Google, because he reached the goal really fast without any hassle, without any frustration. And next time he have a question, even like when if he want to know more information about the like travel plans, he will still go back to Google. So that's a really good experience, user experience. But let's talk about what is bad user experience. So let's see Ahmed again. He's fantasizing about going to Turkey and his lunch break. But then he looked at the watch and he said, "Oh my God, there's 5 minutes for me to meet the new client in a different building or a different office the first time he meets." So he would rush to the new office, to meet his client, and he would see this door. So what he would do when he sees the door, he would grab the handle and pull the door, but the door is not opening. He would pull again, it's not opening. So his frustration is actually growing. So what he would do, uh, he's questioning his own intentions. So it's like, am I in the right building? Did the client cancel my meeting, or is something going on? I cannot enter this door. Out of frustration, he might even kick the door, and the door opens. It's actually not a pull door; it's actually a push door. So yes, he was able to enter, but what do you think that his feeling is when he enters the client? His frustration will be late, and his frustration will be really high. So even like it might even affect the meeting. But what if it's the door design is like this? What will happen? So it will just like push. It will be easy. He would not even to think that this is a push door. I know this is example is not online digital example, but the reason I wanted to show you this because it's quite simple uh, variant that might affect the user a lot. There is a lot of confusion between user experience and usability. They would always think that user experience equal usability. Usability is it's about how easy the product is being used. It's like how easy you use the product. User experience is actually the umbrella. It's like the full thing. Um, uh, it's usability is just small part of user experience. So it does not equal to user experience to user usability. I'll explain more when I go through. So what impacts UX or how you create a good user experience um, while creating a product? So first of all, the utility of the product. How useful is the product? Um, how it will integrate to the user's life? Um, is it is it useful in a short term or a long term? How usable is the product? How easy for the user to move through the product and reach his goal? How desirable is the product? How when they like use the product, how they feel, and how it looks. It's quite important to impact the user experience. Also, don't forget about the brand experience. How the brand of the company reflects in the product. So all of these create great user experience. So how you will achieve these for how you will achieve these? You'll it's by using UX and UI design. So a lot of people think one of them is higher than the other. UX design and UI design are equal. You cannot have great UX design without UI design. You cannot have good or great UI design without having good um, UX design. So both are equal. Both you need to spend time in. So let's talk about UX design by itself first. UX design is about the whole experience of the user. So it's really concentrate on the user. So first of all, as I said, it starts and ends with the user. So how you know your user? So first, when you have the idea, you need to the idea of the product. You need to know who are your user, which is completely different than um, the market research that usually marketing people do. Usually marketing people do what they do is like they say, oh, your target audience are from, let's say, 18 to 40. They are tech savvy and they are working, and that's it. This is very generic. Um, Not all of these people are going to be your user. Uh, so you need to do UX research, user research. So how you will do user research? When let's say for an example, a parking app. You have an idea of creating a parking app to make in busiest places. Let's say in Manama Center. So when you go there, you have the idea of creating an app that when you go there, it will show you where you can park, um, and it will make your life easier. But not everyone, and like let's say in the same category that I mentioned in the like in the market study, not everyone will from that category will be your user. So what you need to do when you research for your user, you need to know their educational background, their pain point, their hobbies, their struggles, their financial situation, even their day to day, how they are working day to day, like how it will impact their day to day life. So let's say your user is like one of your user is Mariam. She is a mother of three, and she is a working mom. So her time is quite valuable. So you would see, yes, her like she's a perfect candidate to use the app. But you really need to go to exactly what is their her struggle when finding a parking, and while she driving, like what is her situation is, what's her frustration when she goes to find a parking. So when you do all this research, you need to create a solution. So when you create a solution, also you need to consider the situation. This solution usually it comes from their struggles and pain points. So they're straightforward when you do your research. Nobody will tell you that their struggle is like this and this. You actually need to hear them out, observe what they're doing. So let's say we're going back to Ahmed, and again he's late. Um, so he's late. He's in Mana Center. There is a meeting, and he's late too. While he's driving, uh, he cannot uh, use his phone while driving. So you're creating an app for parking, but Ahmed he cannot use it because he's driving. So maybe you need to consider the situation that the solution that you need to uh, consider. So might be an app for parking, but it's voice activated. So Ahmed will say, "Where's the nearest parking from my place?" So the app, by voice command, it will show them the where's the parking. He will say left, right, and the parking app will reach to the uh, show Ahmed where's the parking. So also you need to consider all kind of situation. Like not everyone will use your product while sitting at home comfortably. So let's say in a cashier, there is a huge line and you're using a bank app. Of course, you would need something that works really fast. So you need to consider all kind of situation that your product will be in, and the user will use it. And then you need to create a prototype and do a lot of testing. You need to create, so you need to test every single thing, uh, and you have to test it in your user group. So it's not like when you create a product, you cannot give it to your friend or your mom who are not does not match your users. Their struggle is completely different than other people's struggle. So if you give it to a working mom, it's completely different than give it to like someone who's in university, 18. So it's, it's completely different. So you need to consider each situation. Uh, let me give you an example of real life study case. Uh, Avon, it's a huge online retail company in UK. They wanted to improve their management inventory system, and they wanted to have their employees to have an iPad to use this management system. To make it easier, it's more mobile. They can go everywhere with the iPad, so they won't be confined to um, their city. But when they have tested, they have created a prototype. They have tested with their employees, few of the employees, and found out that iPad doesn't work. It's actually way much harder to use the management system through the iPad, and is actually creating more problem than if the employees went to the desk. Because they have created a prototype and tested it, they have saved the company 125 million million dollars. Imagine if it was opposite. It didn't test. It will say the company have their mistake have lost, and because of this mistake, they have lost 125 million dollars. So it's a huge amount. It costs a lot of. I know it costs money to create a prototype and test. It takes a bit of time, but it actually saves a lot of money. So let's move on to UI. So what is UI? UI design is how user interact while using the product. So it's about the product itself. Uh, UI is actually to guide the users. uh, it's used to guide the users through the app and make it easier to use. Yes, it has the aesthetic appeal to it, but imagine you are in a forest and you want to enter the forest and exit the forest. So you will see this path. So the path is the UI of the forest. So you need to move through the and you like the you like when you go to this forest and you see the path, you know that when you enter this path, you will exit this forest. Uh, let's say for a pop-up. So this is quite simple pop-up. So the designer, when he created this pop-up, he saw that there is three paths and while creating this pop-up. So if he cannot have all this the path, like imagine like having a path, three same size path. When the user stands in this path, he doesn't know which one he will go to exit the course. So this is the same thing. To complete his goal, he need to know where he can go. So you will see the three paths. One of them is the main, which is buy, which is highlighted. It's in a different color. Uh, it's quite obvious. So when the user come in, he knows when to move on. He will need to click buy. But also, you need to consider other path. Like yes, the user might reach to the point where he want to cancel and move back. So there is the another level, which is like under buy. Uh, that he want to cancel and go back to previous steps. Also, there's another path which is really low in priority, which is term and condition. It's highlighted. The user knows that he can go there, but is not as important as buy. So you need to consider when the user goes to a screen, he knows where the path that he need to go and the main path. I've seen a lot of clients would come to me and say like this is the screen, and they will put a lot of thing and all of them have the same level. When the user actually come and want to complete something, it will take a lot of time for them to complete the goal. So that's, you need to use UI design as a guide for the user. UI design increases credibility of the product. So when you enter when the user enter the product, he need to trust what he's seeing and trust that the UI and help him complete the task, which is the perfect example for me is Apple. Uh, um, their UI is very easy to use and is very intuitive. So the user doesn't really have to think while using the app. So it's quite automatic. The same as Google is very automatic. So there is not a lot of thinking happening while using the product. So it increases the credibility. And you need to be aiming to be clear. Aim to be clear. So UI have to be very clear for the user, and the content it supports the UI. For example, Expedia, which is I'm sure you know Expedia, which is to book uh, hotels or tickets. So why like it's an example, it's like real life example of Expedia. Before they had, when you wanted to complete your purchase, you will go to this form where it says fill your name, credit card company name, and address. But when the user came in, okay, yes, I would fill my name, Amal Kamal, and then I would write my credit card number, and then I will be confused. I would say company name. Why they want to know my company name? Like, where do I work? What if I'm not working? So what would I write there? And then it will say the address. Do they mean the address of the company I'm working on or my address? So there is a lot of confusion. But then uh, they fixed the mistake. It actually is not the company name that they're requesting. It was the bank name of that they, from like the credit where they like the credit card bank. And this mistake cost them $12 million. $12 million. So it's quite huge amount. It's a small mistake that cost them this much. And now they fixed it, but a small mistake can cost a lot. Also, don't forget about the visual design. Uh, Design, like the static, it really uh, gives another level of experience. This is Reflecti. This is an app that I found. It's about uh, reflecting your day at the end of the day. So it kind of set a feeling, set a mood while using the app. The colors really represent the day, like the end of the day, and like the illustrations, everything supports kind of the feel. But imagine if like LinkedIn uses the same kind of feel, the same kind of visual, as it won't fit. So you need to really think about also the user and like the product and the main product that you're using. But you need to use visual design to support. So it's not just like a just you created the perfect UX and the perfect UI and without any visual. You need to have this another layer of experience. Another level of experience is interactive design, which I haven't seen actually, to be honest, in Bahrain a lot is being used. Is like the interactivity of the app. So when like there is a pop-up or like animated, uh, like here, like the video animating and everything, it gives another kind of feel. It grabs the attention of the user. Um, it's really it gives another level of experience. So that's why you need to use interactive design. So what is the role of UI UX? This is me. Um there has always been confusion that the UI UX designer only advocate for the user, but actually you need we are also we need to meet the business objective. So UI UX design are actually the gap between the user and the business. We make sure that we meet both needs. So I wanted to talk about the cost of not considering UX from the beginning while creating the product. So right now, we're at the stage that you are currently in. Um, so I'll go through the normal process that the startup or entrepreneur creating a product, and I'll give my comments in it. So this is what the process that I have seen a lot of my clients are doing, and previously, and where how can UX improve it, or like what is the cost of not considering UX from the beginning. So you will have the idea that you know what, I have an idea for a product, uh, and it is solving XX amount issue. And then when entrepreneur have this idea, he would move to business related research and planning. So they would move on to the business related planning, researching, so everything, make sure that the cost that like they will get money out of the product, and then it will move on to development. So the idea, they will give it to the development team, and the team will create the features that are perfect for the idea or the problem and the product. And then they will design the face of the product when the development team finish it, and then they will have the MVP, and then they will market the MVP where they will release it to the public. They will get user feedback, and then after the user feedback, the development will do the changes, and then you will have the product. You might do like the cycle a bit more, but at the end you will have the product. This is a process where it didn't consider the UX. So what's the problem with the current process? So it's not that it's not working, because we have seen there is a lot of companies that have did this process, and it worked, but it's just higher risk uh, of failing, of the product failing. Why is that? So when you have the idea, when you created the idea, uh, yes, you might find like one problem that the user are facing, like number of people are facing, and you want to solve this problem, but you haven't considered, like you didn't validate the idea. You haven't validated the idea through the user, not the business related. This is, I'm talking purely in UX perspective. You haven't validated the idea for the user, uh, and this is like kind of one red flag in the process. So you'll do the business related research, which is I'm not going to talk about, um, and then you will move on to development, because you gave the idea to the development team. The development team, even though how good they are, and they're really good, uh, like I have seen a lot of development, the engineering team, they're really good at what they're doing, but they are they are going to create a product that works, but they're not going to create a product that actually works for the user. So there's a huge difference. So it's going, the product will be functional, but it doesn't really suit the user. And then you'll move on to the design. Uh, when you move on to the design, usually the startup or entrepreneurs, they will be, because the development they didn't know how to create the product. They will struggle, and it will the timing will double up than what anticipated. So it will leave so little time for the design to work. So it's kind of just like slapping the design on the product itself. They wouldn't do a lot of consideration. And then when you create MVP, you will market the MVP, and then you will get user feedback. So why I'm highlighting the user feedback? Because of how much negative user feedback you will get. So you will create a product that and you will receive a lot of user feedback, even like simplest uh, like flow or use, because you haven't really considered the user. And then you'll, because of how much negative feedback you'll get, you will need a lot of customer support. You need to spend a lot of customer support money in customer support to balance out like uh, the product, like the negative like the features that are not working, or like the usability is not working. And because of this, users are having bad experience, you will lose users. I have statistic for this. 61 people, users move um, to another product if they haven't found the exact thing that they want to do. And 80% of the users, they will never come back for the product if they have really bad experience. So it's quite a lot, 80%. And then development team. So why I'm highlighting it again? Because uh, okay, when they would receive the user feedback and the development start to working on it, it cost uh, double the time from actually originally created. So if they create, so the amount of time that they have created the product from scratch, you need to double it just to put band-aids in the product. It's really hard to fix things that's already been developed. Other than that, it's actually 100% more cost. It costs even 100% more to fix something that's already been developed. So you need to spend even more time, time and money to fix these problems. And then there is like the marketing. So you need to spend more money on marketing, uh, to reverse the effect that you have of your MVP. Uh, because when you lost the users, you need to convince these users that you lost that, come back. I have improved my product. But not just that, you need to convince the people who heard about your product. Uh, they say that satisfies user, they will tell about their good experience to 4 to 5 people, other people about your product. But if unhappy users will tell about 8 to 20 people about their negative experience. So you need to reverse effect all these. One user told about from 8 to 12, 20 about this negative experience. So you need to convince kind of two kind of groups, and then you will have like the product, and you will still have to repeat this, repeat these um, user feedback and development, because you haven't really fixed it. You're just like putting band-aid to your user experience. So it's actually the risk of this process is the risk of it is really high. So you might fail, like the product might fail, and you might run out of money, or it costs a lot of more money to create a product. So what if we considered UX from the beginning? Uh, so when you have the idea idea. This is like just purely from UX perspective, the process of it. So when you have the idea, you will do your business related research and planning, plus you will do your UX research where you're finding out about the struggles and who are the users, exactly who are the users and their struggles and their problem. This is where you will go to defining the problem. So exactly from your research, you will find the problems that you need to help the user, and then you will go to ideate, where you will find the solution for this problem, and then you move on to design, which is the prototype and the design, which is like usually the wireframes and prototype, and then you will need to test the prototype exactly on the users that you found. So from the user research, you have found your users, your user group. You would go and test exactly. You will find people that matches your user group, and you will test on them. So it's not like you can take your mom or your friend to fix your your to test your product. You actually need to find the exact users, and you will have to do this process uh, until you find that you have fixed, like you have created a good user experience that you need to develop. This is when you do development, and when you created MPV, and you of course, you when you send it, you will have user feedback, but it's not going to be as bad impact as the previous process. But before we end the presentation, I just want to say that user experience is everyone's job in the company. uh, it's not just for user UI UX designer. It's the copywriters, the marketing, how it communicates the whole brand. Everyone, directly or indirectly, affects the user experience of the product. So even like customer support, it will affect the UX of the user experience of the product. So one last thing, um, there is a quote that I really like, that actually I think is currently is true. Customer experience will overtake price and product as the most important brand differentiator. So no price no longer is the reason people will use their product, or the product itself. Is about the user experience or the customer experience that they are that your product have.